While the Nats are on the road this weekend, make Walters your spot to watch Team USA men's basketball take on Serbia in the Olympics at 11:15 a.m. on Sunday.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold! Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
Gibson checks back on Thomas. He fires. 3-2 pitch, a little looper, shallow center, out goes Wynn. He can't get to it. It's going to dunk in for a hit, and Thomas will come in to score. Gibson staring at Winker in disbelief. The Nationals lead 2-0. A pair of bloop RBI singles. The 2-2. Yepez lines one down the right field line. It is fair inside the line, hits the sidewall and shoots out to the right fielder Nootbaar. Abrams will score. The throw coming in towards second is offline. Ramirez stops at third. It's a double for Yepez. Another multi-hit game for Juan. And the Nationals hit double digits. They lead the Cardinals 10-2.
Next pitch on the way. Swung on, ground ball toward the middle is going to go through. Past the diving Brendan Donovan. Rounding third, Ramirez jogging toward the plate. Wood stops at second. Single to center for Garcia. Second hit of the night. Second RBI and 50th of the year for Garcia to tie C.J. Abrams for the club lead. And it's now the Nationals 14 and the Cardinals 3.
And welcome to Nats Chat for Sunday, July 28th, 2024. Along with MASNsports.com Nationals insider Mark Zuckerman, who was at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. I'm Al Galdi, host of the Al Galdi podcast. Saturday night ended up being a late night for the Nationals as their game 2 of a 3-game series at the St. Louis Cardinals, set for a 7:15 p.m. Eastern start, did not begin until 9:19 p.m. Eastern due to rain. The game did not end until 12:30 a.m. Eastern on Sunday, but the game ended up being a dominant Nats win, a 14-3 win, and we, during the game, had the breaking news of the Nats having agreed to trade outfielder Jesse Winker to the New York Mets. That news broke shortly before midnight Eastern on Saturday night. So if you stayed up for this game, you were treated to an impressive Nats win and the Jesse Winker news. So the Nats for this regular season now are 49-56. The Nats, since their 3-0 no-hit loss to the San Diego Padres at Nationals Park this past Thursday afternoon, have totaled 24 runs over 2 games at the Cardinals. The Nats in this series are having their way with Cardinals pitching. More on the win late night on Saturday night in a bit. But Mark, you were among those who had the Jesse Winker news late night on Saturday night. We don't yet know of the return in the trade, but for a second consecutive Saturday night, the Nats make a trade. The previous Saturday night, reliever Hunter Harvey to the Kansas City Royals, and now Jesse Winker to the Mets.
Well, they can't afford to wait till next Saturday to make any more moves. They only have until 6 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday. So what's interesting to me is, unlike some previous years where these things really went right down to the wire, maybe the last day or two before the deadline, you're seeing across baseball teams jumping the gun and making these moves a lot sooner. Obviously, the Harvey trade happening before the All-Star break, that was tied in with the draft as the reason for the timing of that one. This one, done 3 days in advance, and you can understand the Mets want to get a guy like Jesse Winker into their lineup as soon as possible and try to help them out. And I don't think this is the last one. I think we agreed this was the most likely guy all along to be traded because of the performance, because of the contract status, because of their outfield depth. He had already lost the left field job, was just DHing for them. But before we get into any of the other aspects of it, I just think you got to say what a good pickup this turned out to be. Several of the other one-year contracts did not work out at all. This one did. A minor league deal for a bounce-back candidate. He made the team out of spring training, and he wound up becoming one of their most consistent offensive players. And you're able to turn that now into something. We don't know yet what it is. Obviously going to be in the prospect range. But that's an organizational win. That's the way those kind of moves are supposed to work for a team like this. And even if the other ones didn't work out, in the end, this was their best offseason addition in that regard. And they're going to get something in return now for 4 really good months out of Jesse Winker.
Yeah, it was a low-cost, high-upside signing. You're never going to hit on 100% of those signings. So if you can just hit on a few of those, they are well worth doing. And just like with Jeimer Candelario last season, this was what I like to call a fix-em and flip-em scenario. You get the guy off a bad season, you fix him, and now you flip him. And the Nats have done just that with Jesse Winker, and it really was something. I mean, they signed the guy in February to a minor league deal. He ends up for them posting an on-base percentage of .374. That is like an elite OBP to put up in a regular season as Winker did. So nothing bad to say about Jesse Winker. We'll see what the return is. What usually is the case, though, if you trade an obvious trade chip days before a trade deadline, that suggests that you're getting something that you like, because otherwise you would hold out for longer until you got something that you liked. So, again, we'll see what the compensation is, but I'm kind of excited to see what it is. I think it might be something that is quite nice.
Yeah, I will be very interested in, I wish we were taping this and knowing already what they're getting back in return. I was curious all along what kind of market there was going to be for this guy. He's not the premier free agent that's out there. I think Jeimer Candelario a year ago probably had more value in terms of being really one of the better offensive, position players that was available. And we also knew he played good defense at third base. And look, they got DJ Hers and another prospect for him. I'm not expecting it to be at that level, but what you just outlined, what Jesse Winker has done this year is a very valuable skill to have, to get on base, to always give you good quality at bats. Even if it's in a platoon role, even if it's a part-time DH and pinch hitter, that's the kind of piece that a contending team absolutely wants to have on their team. And the Mets have taken off here in the last few weeks. They saw plenty of him this year, just in the last few weeks, really, as the two teams played each other a lot. So they know what they're getting there. You would hope that they did value him to the extent that Mike Rizzo said, yeah, this is a move I want to make right now. I don't need to wait it out until Tuesday night. I don't think anybody else is going to make me a better offer than this. And, we'll see what it is. But I would imagine that that's not just something that Rizzo said, yeah, whatever we can get for him, that's fine. I think he probably made, had at least a certain level of ask there that the Mets met.
And Jesse Winker went out on a high note. Winker in this 14-3 win at the Cardinals on Saturday night as the Nats starting designated hitter and number 3 batter, 2 for 3 with an RBI single and another single. He and the Nats 1-run third, had a 2-out full count RBI single to center field for a 2-0 Nats lead. Top of the 5th, a 1-out single to right field. So we salute Jesse Winker for a job well done. Now, we during the game had Davey Martinez pinch hitting for Jesse Winker with Harold Ramirez, who ended up having a really good game. We'll get to that in a bit. But there was a baseball-y reason for Davey to pinch hit for Winker with Ramirez. We then found out that Winker was being traded. So do we know for certain was the reason for the pinch hitting that Winker was being traded, or was this in fact a baseball move and it just happened to be that Winker ended up being traded?
Davey Martinez insists he did not know about the trade in that moment. And honestly, watching it myself, I wasn't even thinking in any terms like, oh, wait, I wonder if they just traded him. It made perfect baseball sense to do that. It's what they've been doing, going lefty-righty with those guys. The Cardinals just brought in a left-hander, Matthew Liberatore. You have the bases loaded for the 3rd straight inning. And in the first 2 innings, they did not convert. So, of course, you're going to play your best chip right there and say, give me the right-handed batter to come up there and face him. So, yeah, I believe him that he didn't know about the trade in that moment. It was a short while later that the word got out and it started trickling around the dugout, and Winker himself found out. But, yeah, that was a purely baseball strategy move, and it worked really well because Ramirez drove in 2. And on top of that, you now get to bring Juan Yepes up as a right-handed batter facing the lefty, and he drives in 2 with a single, and that turned into one of their best innings of the year after that. So the timing was incredible, and, in hindsight, you thought, well, maybe it actually wasn't a baseball move, that this was purely finding out about the guy being traded, and okay, I guess we got to pinch hit for him. But no, it was a strategic move that paid off brilliantly, and that just as it turned out, coincided almost exactly with when the deal went down.
That is wild. What are the odds of something like that? That move was about strategery as opposed to Winker himself being traded. So yeah, the Nats in this game, superb offensively. The Nats score 14 runs. The Nats pound 16 hits, a home run, 4 doubles, and 11 singles. The Nats drew 8 walks. The Nats went 9 for 20 with runners in scoring position. And you had so many different individual Nats who stood out in this game. From a run-scoring perspective, the Nats scored a run in the top of the second, a run in the top of the third, 7 runs in the top of the sixth, a run in the top of the seventh, and then 4 runs in the top of the ninth.
We're driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. Leveraging over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day, Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences, so the more you use Indeed, the better it gets. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Just go to Indeed.com/Blue Wire right now and support our show by saying that you heard about Indeed on this podcast. That's Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
This episode is brought to you by Experian. Are you paying for subscriptions you don't use but can't find the time or energy to cancel them? Experian could cancel unwanted subscriptions for you, saving you an average of $270 per year and plenty of time. Download the Experian app. Results will vary. Not all subscriptions are eligible. Savings are not guaranteed. Paid membership with connected payment account required.
Now here's the wind. Next one on the way. Swung on and lined a base hit into right center field. Nunez is going to score. Rounding third. Coming home is Thomas. He scores. Stopping at second is Harold Ramirez. And on at first with a single to right center and 2 runs batted in. His 4th hit of the game is James Wood. And it's now the Nationals 13 and the Cardinals 3.
Among the many heroes for the Nats in this game was James Wood, who was phenomenal, getting on base 5 times. Was this the bust-out game? Was this the game, finally, in which the exit velocity matched the actual results? James Wood in this game, as the Nats starting left fielder and number 5 batter, on base 5 times. He went 4 for 5 with 2 doubles, a 2-run single, another single, and a walk. And he had all 4 of the Nats' top 4 exit velocities in the game per StatCast. James Wood in the Nats, 1-run second, a 1-out opposite field double to the left center field gap on a 1-2 pitch. That double per StatCast, an exit velocity of 104.2 miles per hour. Wood in the top of the 4th, a leadoff first pitch single into right field. That single per StatCast, an exit velocity of 106.4 miles per hour. Wood in the top of the 5th, drew a 1-out walk. Wood in that Nats 7-run 6 had a 1-out double off the center field warning track. The double per StatCast, an exit velocity of 107.8 miles per hour. And then Wood saved his best for last in terms of the exit velocities. The Nats 4-run 9th, James Wood, a 1-out 2-run single into right center field for a 13-3 Nats lead. That single per StatCast, an exit velocity of 109.2 miles per hour. Wow. Great to see the results match the process. But boy, every exit velocity on these hits plus 100 miles per hour. What a performance by James Wood.
And finally, the exit velocity turned into exit hits for the first time in a while. The thing James said was that he felt like he was able to be a little pickier in this game with his pitch selection. It's something he's been working on. We've seen how opposing pitchers are getting him to chase down and out of the zone quite a bit. He was able to lay off those, look for stuff up in the zone. I thought the walk was just as important as the hits because it did show the patience. Only the second walk he's drawn in a long time. He had one of them on Friday night. He had not had one in, I think, over 50 plate appearances. So selective approach from him, which was good. And then he elevated the ball because he's hitting pitches that are a little bit more up in the zone, not reaching for them down. And you see what a difference it makes when you hit the ball in the air, even just a little bit. But those balls were crushed in every single case. And he had a smile on his face after this game. He also knows he made what at the moment looked like a really bad base running mistake He's on third base, bases loaded, sinking liner to right, caught by Lars Nootbaar making a sliding catch. And Wood was running on contact. And by the time he went back to tag up, it was too late and he couldn't score. And he acknowledged no reason to do that. Just stand on third base, see if the ball's caught or not. It didn't cost him in the end, but he did learn his lesson on that. That's the one blemish. Otherwise, a spectacular night at the plate.
Yeah, and the kind of game that offers a tease of what could be coming. That's the kind of game that we hopefully are going to be seeing a lot more of from James Wood as his career progresses. So we mentioned Harold Ramirez. He comes off the bench, and he ends up going 3 for 3. Not bad. Harold Ramirez in this game, a pinch 2-run double, an RBI single, and an infield single. He ended at 7-run 6, had a pinch, 1 out, bases loaded, opposite field, 2-run double to right field for a 4-0 Nats lead. Ramirez in the Nats 1-run 7th, a 2-out infield single toward third base, and Ramirez in the Nats 4-run 9th, an RBI single to center field for an 11-3 Nats lead. We saw another good game for Juan Yepez. He in this game as the Nats starting first baseman and cleanup batter, 2 for 5 with an RBI double, a 2-run single, and a hit by pitch. Yepez in the top of the 5th, a 1-out hit by pitch. Yepez in the Nats 7-run 6, a 1-out 2-run single to left center field for a 6-0 Nats lead, and Yepez in the Nats 1-run 7th, a 2-out opposite field RBI double to right field for a 10-2 Nats lead, despite having been down in the count at 1.12. And then another Nationals player who had an impressive game in this game was Luis Garcia Jr., who has become like a machine when it comes to runners in scoring position. Garcia in this game as the Nats starting second baseman and number 7 batter, 2 for 5 with 2 2-out RBI singles and a walk. He in the Nats 1-run second had a 2-out RBI single to left field on a 1-2 pitch for a 1-0 Nats lead. Garcia in the top of the 4th drew a 1-out walk, and Garcia in the Nats 4-run 9th, a 2-out RBI single up the middle for a 14-3 Nats lead. So his first 2-out RBI single drove in the Nats' first run of the game, and his second 2-out RBI single drove in the Nats' 14th run of the game. But Ramirez, Yepez, and Garcia all doing some really good things.
And listen, with Jesse Winker on the way out, they're going to need this kind of production from a lot of other guys in the lineup. You need depth. You need to see this. So it was nice to see that in this game and in the previous game. Luis Garcia now, I believe it is 10 for his last 14 with runners in scoring position. Wow, is that good? He really now, over a pretty sustained stretch of time, has hit the ball very well, and that's been so nice to see from him. The Keibert Ruiz home run, crushed to left field. Only his 3rd career big league homer batting right-handed. That is not his forte at all. Good to see him hit a ball like that with some authority. Yepez continues to torment his former team, which has been very helpful to the Nationals. And Harold Ramirez, who I think we don't know exactly what they're going to do to replace Winker. I'm assuming that if you're getting prospects in return, then there's another move to be made on Sunday, calling somebody up from AAA to help out, maybe another left-handed bat like a Travis Blankenhorn, perhaps. But Harold Ramirez, I think, is going to get some more playing time. And he is a guy who has shown he can hit. They've mostly been using him platoon-wise, facing lefties. We may see him some more against righties. But, 3 for 3 coming off the bench like that was huge for them. And maybe that's the start of something good now for him as he tries to finish out this year and help produce for this team.
Ramirez can hit. His track record suggests that. He's not a great hitter, but the guy is, an experienced professional hitter. And I think we've seen that during his time with the Nats. Yeah, Keibert went 1 for 6, but the one was an impressive one to be sure. The Lane Thomas on base streak continues. That's now at 24 games. The Lane train in this game as the Nats starting right fielder and number 2 batter, 1 for 4 with a single, a walk, and a hit by pitch. And he had a stolen base. And I mentioned the Nats drawing 8 walks in this game. Some really impressive walks. Jacob Young, so he is the Nats starting center fielder and number 9 batter with 2 walks, and those 2 walks coming in the Nats' 2 biggest run-scoring innings. Young in the Nats' 7-run 6, a 10-pitch walk, despite having been down in the count at 1.12. Young in the Nats' 4-run 9th drew a leadoff 5-pitch walk. And Trey Lipscomb, who you don't really think of when it comes to drawing walks or getting on base. Lipscomb in this game as the Nats starting third baseman and number 8 batter, 0 for 4, but with 2 walks. Top of the fourth, a 1-out walk despite having been down to the count at 1.12. And Lipscomb in the Nats 7-run 6 drew a leadoff walk. We have talked about the Nats' glaring lack of walks so often this season, but the total number of hits very impressive. But 8 walks, that is a jaw-dropping total of walks for a team in a game.
And after they did well in that regard Friday night as well. I mean, it is so crazy to think that 48 hours ago they were no hit, because look what they've done the next 2 days, hitting the ball, being patient at the plate, drawing their walks, good long at bats. They've had the kind of thing we've been asking for all year long, and they're finally putting it together here these last 2 nights. Lipscomb drew the big walk to set up the Jacob Young triple on Friday night in the 10th inning, and then draws 2 more in this game, finally laying off the off-speed stuff that everybody is feeding to him well off the plate. He's got to be able to show that he can do that, force them to throw him strikes, because right now he gets maybe 1 pitch in the strike zone for at bat, if that, because they're exploiting the fact that he does chase a whole lot. So good to see him draw those walks. Jacob Young, good to see him drag out those at bats. Robbed of another key bases loaded hit to right field because of the sliding catch by Nootbaar. But, it was good solid contact from him again there. And for them to produce over the rest of this season, whether they trade Lane Thomas or not, they're going to have to get production up and down the lineup. We know this is not a team that's going to rely on the home run. We know this is not a team that's going to have 1 or 2 players able to carry them. They're going to need it top to bottom. The last 2 nights, they've gotten that. We'll see if that can continue. But if they can just do anything similar to what we've seen here in terms of the approach and then converting in the big moments, I think they can withstand the losses and perhaps even put together a decent lineup here the rest of the season.
And know this, so the Nats for this regular season, as mentioned earlier, 49-56. The Cardinals now 53-51. The Cardinals have a winning record, but the Cardinals have a really bad run differential. We talked about this the last time the Nats played the Cardinals. The Nats run differential is better than the Cardinals. The Nats are 49-56 with a run differential of -34. The Cardinals 53-51 with a run differential of -49. The Nats took it to St. Louis in this game, and so far are taking it to the Cardinals in this series. Some outstanding offense on display by the Nats.
Think you know the Brooks Ghost? Think again. Introducing the all-new, better-than-ever Ghost 16. Now with nitrogen-infused cushioning for lightweight, supreme softness that feels good every step, every street, every single day. So go ahead. Take your daily joyride in the all-new nitrogen-infused Ghost 16. It'll turn your everyday miles into everyday endorphins. Let's run there. Head to brooksrunning.com to learn more.
Hey, it's Kaylee Cuoco for Priceline. Ready to go to your happy place for a happy price? Well, why didn't you say so? Just download the Priceline app right now and save up to 60% on hotels. So whether it's Cousin Kevin's Kazoo Concert in Kansas City, go Kevin, or Becky's Bachelorette Bash in Bermuda, you never have to miss a trip ever again. So download the Priceline app today. Your savings are waiting.
Go to your happy place for a happy price. Go to your happy price, Priceline.
Here's your report from AAA for the game played on Saturday. Dylan Cruz back in center field, a triple out of the leadoff spot. Brady House hit 5th. He had a single, 1 for 4 in the game. And for the bullpen, Yohan Adon, the struggles continue. Gave up 2 earned runs, 3 runs overall, 5 hits in just 2 2/3 of an inning out of the bullpen. Now back to the show.
Now the pitch by Rainey, swung on and hit in the air to center field. Going back is Young, still back, makes the catch, crossing out of the warning track. And a Curly W is in the books on a long night in St. Louis. The Nationals have clinched themselves a series win.
So the Nats starting pitcher for this 14-3 win at the Cardinals late night on Saturday night was Jake Irvin. And dare I say that Jake Irvin is back. He had that 2-start slump, but he since then has now had back-to-back impressive outings. Irvin in this game on Saturday night, 2 runs in 5 1/3 innings. Wasn't great, but it was good. 5 strikeouts versus 1 walk. He gave up just 4 hits, which were a home run and 3 singles. He over his 5 1/3 innings did throw a lot of pitches, but he threw a good number of strikes. 96 pitches, 62 strikes, 34 balls. Irvin, to the final batter he faced, gave up a 1-out 2-run homer by Wilson Contreras to center field on a 1-2 pitch in the bottom of the 6th to cut the Nats' lead to 9-2. So yes, you would have liked for more length, but overall, I thought a good outing for Jake Irvin.
Yeah, absolutely. The pitch count was a little high, but I think that's a minor nitpick there. To me, the most impressive thing was he and Kyle Gibson, Cardinals starter, were beginning the warm-up process when it looked like the game was going to start on time. Now, he never got on the mound in the bullpen, but he did pretty much everything else prior to that point before the grounds crew finally stepped in and said, hang on, we're going to start in a delay. So he gets to that point, and physically it wasn't that big a deal, but mentally, you're already thinking, okay, we're 20 minutes away from game time. And now all of a sudden you got to go back to the clubhouse. And as he described it, stay in that mental zone of you can't just like release it all and just relax. You don't know when the game's going to start for sure. You've got to be mentally ready and locked in this whole time. And it ends up being a 2-hour rain delay before he then finally comes out to pitch and then puts up 5 straight zeros to start the game. So I think that more than anything impressed me about his night. He got off to a good start, throwing strikes, getting ahead in the count. Despite the high pitch count, it was only 3 base runners until the 6th inning that he gave up. And then the home run was frustrating. Jacob Young came like inches away from robbing Contreras of the home run. That would have been a spectacular catch. So it kind of ended his night on a sour note, but I think it's important. These first 2 starts back from the break, this is who he was the majority of the first half. He's put those couple of bad starts behind him. And yeah, they need this from him to show that what we saw for 3 months there was not an anomaly, that he can be that guy throughout the season.
And following the example of Patrick Corbin from Thursday afternoon, where he starts the game, quickly the game goes into a rain delay, Corbin comes back into the game and ends up actually pitching quite well. The Nats bullpen in this 14-3 win at the Cardinals on Saturday night. 3 Nats relievers combined to allow 1 run in 3 2/3 innings. Jose A. Ferrer, 1 2/3 scoreless and hitless innings. Eduardo Salazar, bottom of the 8th, did allow a run. He is back. The Nats on Friday afternoon announced having recalled him from AAA Rochester as the corresponding roster moved to putting reliever Jordan Weems on the 15-day injured list due to right shin splints. And Tanner Rainey, he tossed a scoreless bottom of the 9th. Despite giving up a 2-out single and then issuing a 2-out walk. So here we are now. The Nats, for a second consecutive weekend, could have a 3-game sweep. Swept the Cincinnati Reds in 3 games at Nationals Park last weekend, July 19th through the 21st. And now a win away from authoring a 3-game sweep at the Cardinals. Game 3 Sunday afternoon at 2:15. DJ Hers will be the Nats starting pitcher. It's funny. If not for the 3-game sweep to the Padres, you look at the last few weeks, and they have been really good for the Nats, going back to them doing well at the NL Central leading Milwaukee Brewers prior to the All-Star break. That Padres series sticks out like a sore thumb, but otherwise, the Nats have been winning a good bit lately.
They've won 7 out of 8 when you take out the Padres series. 7 of 11 overall. Would you have said that? Would you have guessed that if I said the Nationals have won 7 of their last 11? Doesn't feel like it, right? Because that one series was so bad, and obviously the no-hitter was involved. But this, in spite of trading away your top setup man, now trading away your number 3 hitter, they have shown a resiliency here. They are actually starting to hit. I know they didn't for those couple of days, but bigger picture, they've had more games like this where they have produced at the plate, and that's been good. The bullpen has continued to be excellent for the most part, in spite of the losses. The rotation at times has not been so great, but it has been getting the job done. And this has been a fascinating team because they've been either really hot or really cold. And there hasn't been a lot of just, win one, lose one, win one, lose one. It feels like they go on a nice run for a week, then they slump for a little while. They get back on a nice run again. I don't know what's next for them, but they really have played decent baseball aside from, I'd say, 2 opponents this year, the Padres and the Mets, for whatever reason. Outside of that, they have a winning record, and by I think of 5 games over 500 now against everybody else that they've faced this year. So good for them. It can make the final 2 months of the season fun and interesting, even if they aren't technically in the thick of the pennant.
And we shall see what is next when it comes to this trade deadline on Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern. Obviously, we all expect Dylan Floro to be traded. The big questions, Kyle Finnegan, is he about to be dealt? Lane Thomas, is he about to be dealt? And I tell you what, if you're a Nats fan and you're following all these trades that are happening around MLB and you see what the Philadelphia Phillies on Saturday gave up to get Los Angeles Angels reliever Carlos Estevez, quite the package. Multiple high-level pitching prospects. If Estevez could fetch that, what might you be able to get for Kyle Finnegan? Now, presumably, the Phillies getting Estevez takes them out of the mix for Finnegan, but you see what the Nats got for Hunter Harvey. You see what the Angels got for Estevez. What might Mike Rizzo be able to get for Kyle Finnegan?
This is interesting. I think it's a double-edged sword here because on the one hand, like you said, okay, people are giving up a lot for quality late-inning relievers. But by the same token, the Phillies are now out of the equation for it. We don't know how many other teams are truly in the mix. You also have the Marlins' Tanner Scott getting a lot of interest as well. And we know Mike Rizzo sets a price, and he says, if you don't meet that price, I'm not making the move. I don't feel compelled to have to make this with a guy who's under contract for another year after this. So in a weird way, it could hurt the chances of him being traded. I think if teams are giving up that much for other relievers, then Rizzo's going to say, okay, fine, then that's what I want for Kyle Finnegan. And if other teams don't value him the same way that Mike Rizzo does, he very well could still be here come Wednesday of next week. I really don't know. I think it could go either way still. The Phillies were definitely a team that was in on him. They ultimately gave up a good haul for a different pitcher from the Angels. So that does reduce the number of teams for him. It's fascinating to me. I think this really is about who, if anyone, is willing to meet Mike Rizzo's price. And if they don't, he's still going to be this team's closer for the rest of the season and probably next season as well.
You tell us what you think. Hit us up on X at Nats_chat. You can email us, natschatpodcast@gmail.com, including if you would like to sponsor the show. We'd love to have you on board. Hit up Tim Shovers. Again, natschatpodcast@gmail.com. We have a website that you can check out, natschatpodcast.com, in which you can purchase a Nats Chat Podcast t-shirt. All Nationals radio highlights on Nats Chat are courtesy of 106.7 The Fan. Nats Chat is on the radio Sunday mornings 9 to 10 on ESPN Richmond, which is 106.1 FM in the Richmond, Virginia area, and Sunday morning 9 to 10 on Priority Sports Radio, 94.1 in the Virginia Beach area. For Mark Zuckerman, I'm Al Galdi. We thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time on the Nats Chat Podcast.
The 2-1. Swing a long drive, left field. Back on this one, Donovan to the track, at the wall. He leaps, can't get it. It's gone into the bullpen. A 3-run homer for Keibert Ruiz, batting right-handed. And the Nationals lead it 9-0. They've scored a touchdown here at the top of the 6th.
I'm Xavier Worthy, wide receiver, 4th NFL. Speeding. It's a rush on the field, in the zone, where it matters. As an athlete, I push my limits to win. But when I get behind the wheel, I know the importance of slowing down for safety. Because speeding is illegal. It endangers you, your loved ones, and everyone else on the road. Did you know speeding accounts for more than 1/4 of all traffic-related fatalities nationwide? Just like we need to focus to score touchdowns and win games, we need to be in the zone to stay safe on the road. Speed limits are in place to protect everyone, no matter what the speed limit is. Anything over is not only illegal, but dangerous. Like athletes, drivers must stay alert and present because there is no reward for speeding. Nothing is safe about it. Driving over the speed limit might seem like the quicker option, but speeding catches up with you. Stay focused. In a split second, everything can change. Paid for by NHTSA.